pogie plant close to us and all. It's always the strong odors. And that kind of followed us into the craft that night, them strong odors it did. And that kind of reminds me of it sometime when I'm out fishing because, but I didn't smell nothing different that was inside the craft and all that I normally wouldn't smell.
Now, hey, Calvin, I got to ask you this. Sorry to jump in, James.
That's fine.
Okay, one thing that Terry Lovelace, and I just mentioned him because he was on the show here a couple times in the last 2 weeks, that when he was taken aboard the craft, he noticed a whole bunch of other people, men, women, children, naked, holding their clothes. He also said he heard screams of pain from, like, women. Like they're being tortured or examined roughly or whatever. But one thing he noticed that him and his buddy were released and these other people were on the craft when it took back off. So those people evidently weren't lucky. They weren't allowed to go back home. Now, when you were on this craft, did you notice any other people? Did you hear any screams? Did you see anything strange? Did you have to take your clothes off when you were in the craft? Did they strip you naked?
Well, she tried, but I didn't hear nobody else in the craft, and I didn't see anything, that would resemble somebody. But that don't mean it wasn't. That don't mean there wasn't somebody in there that they was holding captive. And I really think that, the human race is kind of like cattle, and I really think that they might take some people back with them, experiment with them, and throw them out later. Travis Walton, I talked to him, and he was gone, 9 days or something like that. And what all happened when he was gone, I don't know. But I do know that I wasn't about to go with him.
No, I don't blame you. The things I've heard, like I've also have another guest is coming on that when he was abducted on one of these huge crafts, like the size of a Walmart type of craft. And when he was taken in there, he was taken in this huge room, and there was like table after table of humans strapped to the tables. And also, I think Terry was talking about something like that too. I just is curious. Did you didn't see anything like that? How big a craft was it inside?
Well, the ceilings looked to be about 12 foot high when you got inside, and the rooms that I was in was not real big, rather small, but I really couldn't see the whole craft from the inside, but the outside is about the length of a football field, or about 80 foot.
Interesting. Or
not a football field, but from 80 to 120 foot, probably.
Smaller craft. Now, James, go ahead. You got a couple more minutes to ask some questions.
Mm-hmm. Calvin, when those robotic type aliens, when they grabbed a hold of you, what did it feel like? Was it like metal, or was it fleshy feeling, or was it electrical? How'd that feel?
It was absolutely no feeling until they gave that injection in the arm. Then I heard a little poof of air. It went psh, like that. And later on, I found out that could have been an air injection. They use them in the military when they inject thousands of troops for different things. They got a gallon jug, and they put it in, they just shoot this into you with air. Because I moved a little bit on one of them, and it ripped my arm. And it's still, I still got a little small scar there if you look at it.
Oh, wow. Now, when the doctor examined you, did they find anything in your blood, do you know, that was a result of these injections, or anything off or anything different?
Well, they turned our blood work into the hospital, and the doctor that examined it, they were supposed to get back to us, but, right after that, I came up missing, so I don't know. And then the hurricane destroyed all the records down here in 2005. Nothing was backed up yet. It was all still on hard copies. So nothing was backed up in the computer, and we got 20 foot of water in a lot of these places where these records were stored. But the next thing about it, Dr. Bosco, the doctor that examined me, his grandson seen me in a book signing the other day, and he said that he would like to see me and talk to me, and I have full intentions of getting over and seeing him, just to ask him some questions, if he's got a good memory on me and all.
Yeah, that would be great if you could, if you could even find the paperwork for that. That'd be something right there. Especially, yeah, that would be great. So, do you ever get you must have something that triggers thoughts of that horrible night. You must go through that. Periodically, something must trigger, that horrible night to remind you of that.
Well, let me say this. I don't know if it triggers or what, but I think about it a lot of the time. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I finish my houseboat, because I like working with my hands, and that's therapy to me. One day said, well, won't you get you some help? Won't you hire some help? I said, I don't want no help. I need the therapy of working on this thing. I guess when I finish it, I'm going to have to sell it or give it to somebody and start all over again.
But, you've got to add a couple more rooms.
Yeah, I have another room or two to it. But, my therapy's getting out and working until I get exhausted and I come in, just lay down and go sound asleep.
Right. Now, have you had other sightings of UFO while you've been out on the water? And have you ever think maybe sometimes these UFOs come up out of the water?
I've thought about that a lot, and I really believe they do. And in the second book, and the reason I say that is because, even the first book, we have the Coast Guard. Right about the same time this happened to us, the Coast Guard got called out. Somebody seen something in the water. And they went out and they looked at this thing, and they took a rod. It was 6 Coast Guard members, and it's well documented in their little deals there. They took a pole, a mooring pole, and they bumped on this craft underwater, and then it just disappeared. One of the eyewitnesses, Maria Blair, that seen this, she's in the new book, and she's been interviewed by Irena Scott, and y'all can ask Irena about her tonight, about that interview. She's seen something in the water. The night this happened, she was watching this craft as it landed over there, abducted me and Charlie. Now, she was across the river, and then she was walking down that pier with her husband, and something come up out of the water, and she described it as a human figure and all, and it scared the living daylights out of her by all rights, And her husband always told her, look, don't tell nobody about this. Keep quiet about it. People think we're crazy. And she said the next day, she actually wanted to hunt me down when she heard on the news what had happened, because she had seen it and she wanted to talk about it and tell it. And she's a very believable lady. Her and her husband's both really good people. And there's several more eyewitnesses in this book. I wasn't just the only one. The night this happened, before we went to the police department, the police dispatcher there took 50 calls about unidentified flying objects. He said he ain't been so tired of writing narratives in all his life. And then he found out about our abduction later. So, it was a lot of calls that come in that night, a lot of witnesses that see it. And I know Philip and I talk about it. Every day something new pops up on this deal. And because originally I was going to retire in October, but I didn't have time to get my houseboat ready, and I was going off grid. But I just about got it ready now, and I'm thinking pretty serious about going right off grid for a little while anyway and take a break.
Well, how is it?
It does wear on you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, emotionally, how does it really affect you and your wife and your family, your grandkids, and all that stuff? How does your grandkids take it that Grandpa was abducted? I mean, how do they look at it?
Well, my daughter married. She didn't want children, and she never had any. So I really don't have any grandkids. I got a little dog, and my daughter and them, I never talked to my wife for 45 years. I didn't talk to her about this. And then we opened up and started talking about it a little bit. Well, you don't keep a secret from a woman for 45 years and make them real happy about things. So when I started talking, that took a lot of stress off our marriage because, I opened up to her, and that's what she always wanted. Since then, we made conferences together. They pay me to speak, buy my plane ticket, and furnish a motel room. Well, I take the money that they pay me to speak with, and I buy her plane ticket. So we get to go places together and all. This whole deal wasn't about money, because there's no money really in books or nothing. People think it is, but it's not. It's about a peace of mind, and I'm still on the quest for answers, and that's one reason I just keep thriving about this. But, I'm getting tired, I'm getting wore out, and I'm going to have to sooner or later take a little break from it.
No, I don't blame you. Hey, our time is almost up. Where can they find your books at?
Amazon. Pascagoula, The Closest Encounter, My Story, Calvin Parker. Then the second book is Pascagoula, The Story Continues, New Witnesses, New something. But anyhow, they can find them all at Amazon. And it's not only in English, it's in Spanish. It's in a lot of different languages, Germany, French, and it's in different countries. So the book is really selling good and really doing good. And I'm really proud of the Spanish edition of it, because there's a lot of people here in the States speak Spanish that don't speak much English. If you don't believe it, just get on the phone.
Oh, yeah. You're so right. Now, also, do you have your website? What's your website address?
All I know is CalvinParker.com is how I get there, but I got it in I really don't know what the address is to it.
Well, I'm sure people can, research it and find it really fast.
Yeah.
Hey, Calvin, I will say this. Having you on this time, we learned so much more than the other times you've been on, and you really opened up a lot more. And which, you know what? The first time you were on, I could tell there was reservations. Even then, to divulge everything that happened to you and everything that went on. And tonight we found out finally closure what happened. And I want to thank you for sharing that to the show and to my listeners.
Well, I appreciate you having me and let me talk about this and open up. And I appreciate anybody that's listening. I had a guy from a show, I'm not going to call the name, he sent me an email. He said, "You're just too hard to deal with. We're not going to ask you to be on our show no more or contact you no more." And I was thinking, that's not a bad deal. People think they upset me sometimes, and even the people that criticize me, I said, well, would you want to live in a world where everybody agreed on one thing? That's why I take people that don't believe this or that criticizes this with a grain of salt, because I don't want to live in a world where everybody agrees on the same thing. I don't want it to be like Washington, though. I do want everybody to agree on something, but not the only thing they agree on up there is what they're going to do next, who's going in office next.
Yeah, if anybody does. Calvin, I have to let you go. I want you to have a great weekend. And you know what? You need to email me a picture of your boathouse. And,
I will.
And say hi to your wife for me, will you?
I will. She's probably sitting in there listening to the show. I got a lot of family listening tonight, I believe. I sent them all the link just before I went on tonight. And I got some friends that just recently found me on Facebook that I've often wondered what happened to them, and I sent them the link. But I will. I appreciate y'all having me, and thank you so much.
Okay, Calvin, you take care, my friend.
You too, buddy.
Okay. Well, James.
See you later, Calvin. Yeah.
James, guess what? It's time to go to break, and then guess what? We have our next guest coming up.
Irena Scott.
Yeah, from 8:33 to 9:30. So then at 9:30 we're going to have our UFO reports